You know, that's where I first heard about it, when I was kind of like surfing through the net, and I noticed that somebody, you know, some fans were suggesting that I was right for the role of Freddy Krueger in the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. I didn't even know they were remaking Nightmare on Elm Street. So I talked to my agent, and he said he was already talking to Sam and the guys, and that they wanted to sit down and have drinks. And so I went and I met with them, and I was incredibly honored when they offered the role. I mean, it's one of the most iconic characters on the planet. I haven't done a horror film, so I thought it would be a blast to kind of get to go and work in this genre, and to get to go and do a horror film for the first time and play, Freddy Krueger. Sounded kind of cool. You know, a lot of the elements that were very important to Sam to keep, you know, for the iconic elements. Obviously, the glove, and you know, they kind of looked at some different things. You know, trying to make it look a little different. And they kind of settled in a similar pocket to where it used to be. And of course, the fedora and the sweater. And I think, you know, the makeup is a bit different. I think it's grounded a little bit more in a reality burn victim, but it's still very grounded in a horror kind of, you know, a monster overlay on top of it. And I think, you know, for myself, it was important to look at the stuff that they had done prior, especially going back to that first film that was a little bit darker, and to kind of get in there and just own what I was doing. You know, I think this Freddy still kind of has some of those same snappy one-liners that Robert had, but I think our approach is just a little is a little different with it. I think my guy's kind of I think he set out to take a little bit more revenge, to teach a little bit more, you know, these lessons to this group that he's you know, haunting, and I think he wants to seriously right the wrong. He wants to settle the score. Yeah, you know, I kind of, when I first started down the road of you know, kind of doing the research and trying to get my head around Freddy Krueger, I started into this book of serial killers. I mean, there's like thousands in this book. It's a huge book. Why anybody would want to buy and read this book if they weren't like working on a movie, I have no idea. But early on, I realized I was going down the wrong road. Freddy Krueger is not a real person. He's not a human being, and he's a mythological boogeyman. And that's what I needed to embrace. That's when I really kind of started to realize that the whole horror genre, to me, kind of represents the campfire story, where it's not just being scared. It's the fun in being scared and the giggle that follows. You know, that's why we sit around and point those lights up and, you know, try to scare our kids with some story around this campfire out in the woods. And I think that's what going to a horror movie is all about. It's a great date movie. You know, you bring your girl, and you know, part of it's just a big act to scream and then grab their hand and giggle. Yeah, it was pretty arduous getting in that makeup. I mean, we're talking 3.5 hours getting in. It was kind of like worse than Chinese water torture, because I mean, it's like it's this meticulous process. It's not like lay down glue and slap it on. If they mess up, the thing's got to come off and new appliances have to go on. So I mean, it's just gingerly going down, and it takes 3.5 hours. Then I go work 13 hours, and then an hour getting out of the makeup. So it was pretty brutal. But oddly, it was motivating. It was so otherworldly feeling just being in that get-up that it was very helpful to the character between action and cut. No, not really. I did, you know, we had been shooting for a week straight on this thing, and so I'd probably been in makeup that week, I don't know, 70 hours. And I remember that last night I took the makeup off, went home, uh, finally went to bed, and as I was lying in bed, it felt like the makeup was still on. I had to like move my face and kind of keep touching my face, and it wasn't on. But it took me a while to fall asleep because I kept having this sensation that all of this stuff was still on my face. It was bizarre.